So there's a real risk when we start using AI that if we don't use it well, if we don't understand this technology and how we get the best from this technology, that we're going to be turning out the same things, the same types of answers, the same type of output as everybody else, which is the last thing that we would want as sales professionals. Agreed? All right, so how do we get beyond that? The truth is that everybody is going to be an AI user if they are not already. Who's already tried AI? Who's been using it? Look around. Almost every single one of us. There is a very big difference between being an AI user and being somebody who is AI empowered. Somebody who is partnering and collaborating with AI and leveraging the technology that is available to us in the best possible way. That is how you are going to differentiate yourself. You are not going to differentiate yourself in sales by using AI. You will, however, differentiate yourself by being empowered by it, by using it to help you be better than you were, not just faster. This isn't an exercise in speed, it's an exercise in quality at speed. So how do we do that? Well, one way is we're going to focus on growing your AI fluency. Remember I said that there were 7 areas? We're going to focus on growing your AI fluency. The first one of this is that I would love to change the way that you perhaps consider or think about AI. Who has heard the phrase that AI is your new assistant? A few people have heard that. I think that is completely a lie. It is not your new assistant. In fact, I have an assistant. She costs way more than $20 a month, but I expect a lot more from her. I expect great things from my assistant. And instead, I would like to encourage you to think about AI as your new intern. Now, there aren't a lot of interns in the UK, maybe a work-study placement. You know what? We can even simplify this. Who has a teenager or who has had a teenager? Yeah, okay, let's think about it as a teenager. Who knows a teenager? Quite a few of us. Okay, so when we think about that teenager, or we think about that intern that we're working with, we are going to have a very different experience if we imagine interacting with them instead of interacting with a technology platform. Now, they could be the smartest, most amazing resource in the world. They could have gone to the best university. My husband will tell you that that's Warwick, or as I like to call it, Warwick. He went to Warwick University, which he finds offensive, but he went to Warwick and studied economics. Nerd. My husband's a total nerd, right? But he will tell you that, like, oh, he came out of school and, like, he knew everything about economics. But what he didn't know was everything else. So if you imagine that this is your intern, then the very first thing that we would do differently is that we would reset our expectations for what I need to give it and what I expect to get from it. I would not expect my intern to be able to turn out quality work the first pass and have that be something I could share with a client right out of the door. Fair? I would never say to my intern, hey, listen, you've been to a great university, Warwick. It's amazing. It's not as good as the one in Worcestershire, but it's fabulous. And you know what? You're so smart. I'll tell you what. Why don't you go ahead? We need to send an update to all of our prospects about some new products that we're launching. Look, you go ahead and write it up, and when you're done, just send it. It'll be fine. I don't need to review it. Would anybody do that? Did anybody just clench up a little bit when I suggested it? That's a bit scary, right? Okay, so we need to reset our expectations. The second thing is that we would choose the right intern for the task. I'm not going to take somebody who studied marketing and ask them to come over here and write code for software. I'd be using the very wrong resource for that task. Third thing is, I would provide additional training. I wouldn't expect that intern to come into my organization understanding our tone, our brand, our goals, our objectives. I wouldn't expect it to understand our values, what we care about, how we build relationships. So I would give it a lot more training. In addition to that, I would provide it with guidance and then give it even more guidance. Has anybody ever, who's got kids? Who's got quite a few people, probably no kids. I have 2 children. They are not as cute as my dogs, but they are lovely, and I do love them, and they're adults. Now, chronologically, and I'm very excited by the fact that they are chronologically adults. However, when they were teenagers, I asked my daughters, I was like, I'm super busy today, I've got a lot of stuff going on, your grandma is coming over, that would be my mother-in-law. Lovely woman, very house proud. Yeah, house proud, do we know that here in the UK? I think that is a British phrase. I'm bilingual. Are you sensing that? Okay, so she's very house proud. And I said to my daughters, listen, the kitchen is a disaster. I mean, there's crumbs everywhere. There's dirty dishes on the counter. Like, there's stuff left out. Can you please clean the kitchen for me? I've got a conference call. She's going to be here right when it ends. And they are great children, and they were like, absolutely, Mom, I've got this. Does anybody see the flaw in my plan? There is zero chance that my version of clean kitchen was anything like their version of clean kitchen. I came downstairs an hour later, can see my mother-in-law pulling up outside the house. I walk into the kitchen, and yes, they had done something in the kitchen. All of the dirty dishes were now dirty dishes in a sink. All of the crumbs that were on the counter were now crumbs on the floor. To them, a clean kitchen meant the counters were cleared. To me, clean kitchen, and frankly to my mother-in-law, it meant that you could walk barefoot and have a 3-course meal sitting on your linoleum. Our expectations were very different because I didn't give them the guidance they needed to perform the task. We also need to coach it and give it feedback. This is what I like. This is good. Give me more of this. Give me less of this. Stop with those M dashes. Those are those long dashes that we never knew existed. We still can't find them on our keyboard, and yet they appear in all of that output. Stop doing that. So we have to give it this kind of coaching and guidance, and then we have to double check everything that it turns out. Because we would never ask our intern or our teenager, or frankly even a new employee, to do quality work that we would then send out to everybody without double checking that it's right. So think about it as an intern. But assuming that you do that and you go, great, okay, that makes sense, an intern, I'm on board with that. Well, how do you do that? Good news, here's a framework. It's not even in a 4x4 box. Okay, this is a really simple formula, and it is probably the one thing that I'm going to ask that you take out of this. I think you're going to take a lot more out of this session than that, but here's the big one. 20, 60, 20. If you can remember this equation, this collaboration equation, it will change how you engage with AI. If you're not a numbers person, or if you're not married to somebody who's a numbers person, you can also remember this as you do you. What are the 3 elements of 20, 60, 20? Well, it starts with the first 20%. The first 20% is you leading the way in all of your interactions with Gen AI tools, ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, you name it. In all of those interactions, the first 20% is on you to lead the way. It is very tempting for us to outsource our thinking to AI. We're tired. Who's tired of thinking? I feel like we think all the time. Why can't I just get something else to think for me? I've got good news and I've got bad news. Which one do you want first? See, still so British. I have not yet fixed it. The bad news, of course, is that you don't get to stop thinking. You actually have to think more, smarter, harder now in the age of AI than you did before. Because all that mundane work that you used to get to turn your brain off for, that's all going to be done by AI. There's a great quote, actually, by the CEO of Fiverr, which is a giant kind of platform, gigging platform for freelancers. And he sent a message out to all of the people that worked on the platform and all of his employees and said, in the future, there are no easy jobs. And that's really what we should be thinking of AI for in the future. AI is going to do those easy jobs. For you, as sales professionals, you have to keep doing the hard thinking that you've always done. You have to ultimately guide your intern. It's on you to pick the right tool, the right strategy, the right goals, the right prompt in order to get the best output. That's the first 20%. So how do you give it instructions? Well, of course, you give it instructions in a prompt. On the cards in front of you, I've given you this tip sheet for how to prompt. We're not going to go through prompting in detail, but let me give you a couple of examples and a couple of illustrations of why these elements are important. If you're not getting the right output from your AI, it's almost always down to one of these elements. So as you're thinking about using ChatGPT or whatever tool you're using, you want to make sure that these are the items that you're covering. The very first one is persona. Persona is telling it who it's playing as. What role is it performing? Now, let me just give you a great example of this. AI knows everything. Now, has anybody ever gone to a friend's house? Anybody have a friend who's a really great cook? And like, when you go over to their house, you're like, I'm wearing the stretchy pants. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, you go over there and you pack on a couple of extra pounds and a bottle of wine, and then you go, oh, I really need to lose those 2 pounds I just put on. Oh, I really hope I can button up my pants tomorrow. Okay, if I was to ask how to lose 2 pounds from a fitness instructor versus how to lose those 2 pounds from a dietitian, would I get 2 very different answers? Absolutely, I would. I wouldn't like either one of them. I think those are both going to be horrible answers, and I'm not going to like them. They're both going to be right. They're both going to be true, but the persona determines which answer I'm getting. If we look at something like the request, most of us are doing that today. Write an email. If we're asking to then add explanation, what's the context for the email? What's the background to it? Where am I trying to go with it? Or maybe it's the process. If you were going to write, for example, an RFP, and you said to somebody, hey, I need to write an RFP, you don't start just by typing at the beginning, do you? You have a template. You have a framework. You work through individual pieces and parts of it to fill in the gaps. You have a process. If we give that process to AI, we force it to think logically about a problem or an opportunity. Then we get into the aim. This is the one that is most often missed and probably the one that is most valuable. When you're thinking about prompting and interacting with AI, the aim is all about telling it what is your ultimate goal. Why are you asking it for this information? I don't just want to reply to a prospect who's contacted me today. That's just the execution of it. Yes, I want an email, that's the output. But what's my goal? Am I trying to build a relationship with them? Am I trying to get a call booked? Am I trying to get them to go watch a video? What am I trying to get them to do? By giving AI that aim, that ultimate goal, it knows how to filter all of those dots that it has to give you the right output. Then we have any restrictions or requirements. I definitely want you to do this. I definitely don't want you to do this. My top tip for this, by the way, soft sell. Tell it that you want to soft sell, not the band for the 80s people. That was just for the old people. Soft sell, meaning that I don't want a hard sell in my email. I don't want a hard sell in this brochure I'm working on. I want to soft sell it. It's a great phrase to use. It absolutely understands that phrase. Then we're going to give it examples. If I asked my intern to create an RFP or a proposal for me, I wouldn't get what our proposal looks like or what our RFP looks like. I would get some random example. The more I can give examples of what kind of output I'm looking for, what does look good, the more chance I'm going to have of getting it. And then finally, we have to be prepared to discuss it. This was good. Want more of this, less of that. Okay, so that's the prepared framework. Everybody on board with that?